This story has been recorded at an Addictive Eaters Anonymous meeting in New Zealand. You can email us at contact@aeanz.org.
It is the first Friday of the month, so it is a speaker meeting, so welcome, Kay.
I'm Kay and I'm an addictive eater. It's good to be here. I thought I would try tonight to talk a little bit about my very slow and faltering sort of path to meditation, which definitely wasn't what I came in these rooms for. I wasn't interested in a higher power. I certainly wasn't interested in trying to live a spiritual way of life. I actually came here because I wanted to lose weight. That was what I saw as the problem. I did hear other people talking about a higher power. I didn't see the steps on the wall, but I thought, thank goodness that didn't apply to me. And I picked out the bits of the program that, I thought were okay. But I did keep coming to meetings. That was one thing I did, which was good. And I got worse for me. I wasn't beaten when I came through the doors, but the food was a great persuader. And more eating was what it took. And, seeing, the actual problem. I hadn't even identified that I had an obsession with food because I'd had that all my life. I didn't know what it was like to not have it, so I didn't know what it was like for ordinary people. And by that time I had lost weight and I still wanted to kill myself. So I could see it wasn't actually the weight, and I got to a point where I just couldn't go on. And it was like it talks about in the book about not being able to go on with the food or without it. And I actually thought I was without it and I couldn't go on, but I know today I was actually still eating. So I did the right thing again. I went to the members that were in recovery and was completely honest with them for the first time in my life and tucked in behind. Basically followed, their direction and example. And, eventually I too started to get well. I didn't really understand the steps, I must say. I needed a lot of help from my sponsor in, making my way through the steps. I was very busy. I went to a lot of meetings and, I actually had a lot of work, if you like, to do on the steps, in terms of inventory, clearing away the wreckage of my past and, making amends, that kept me very busy. Step 11, cutting through them all pretty quickly there, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. I did not understand. I didn't have a great understanding of many of the steps, but I was praying a lot. As per the big book, going through, how it says to do it there. And I was spending a lot of time on my knees, more and more time on my knees, but really just going through the motions. It really was going through the motions. Meditation, didn't really understand that, you know. I gave it a little go. I knew it was trying to, you know, focus on your breathing, you know, shutting out those other, you know, the thinking. But I couldn't do it. Tried. Now and again, you know, just too hard. And I thought, oh, well, that's, you know, obviously something that I'm not going to be able to do. It's good that people can. And as time went on, there started to be more people in recovery. More people came through the doors, more people started to get well. And the meetings, I was going to say became a bit more spiritual, I suppose, but there was more talk. There was more talk in the meetings about, you know, the program of recovery, 3rd step, 11th step, 12 steps, you know, spiritual awakening. And I would, after those meetings, I would be very, very down on myself. Very down, you know, okay, you know, you're hopeless, you're useless. And I've got my, as Bill sees it here, to read something out. Because on page 264 of As Bill Sees It, there's a little bit from a grapevine, and I used to read As Bill Sees It every day, 1 page a day. So about once a year, I would read this page. And it says, the step that keeps us growing. Sometimes when friends tell us how well we are doing, we know better inside. We know we aren't doing well enough. We still can't handle life as life is. There must be a serious flaw somewhere in our spiritual practice and development. What then is it? The chances are better than even that we shall locate our trouble in our misunderstanding or neglect of AA's step 11, prayer, meditation and the guidance of God. The other steps can keep most of us sober and somehow functioning, but step 11 can keep us growing if we try hard and work at it continually. And every time I read that, I would think, that is me. That is me. And I would give meditation a little burst, again, after reading that for a while. And then my thinking would come in and I think, oh, I can't do this. And, you know, so it just carried on. And for, you know, a considerable period of time, and I'm talking years. And while this, you know, discomfort with the meetings was happening, I began, I can't actually remember the beginning of it, but I was getting migraines. And I do think there were, you know, more than one reason for them. More than one reason. But when I felt one coming on, because you can feel them coming on, I would immediately think, oh my God, a migraine. Oh no. How long is this one going to last? I can't have any more time off work. Oh dear, I've already had how many have I had, you know, so on and on and on. Poor migraine never had a chance. You know, before I knew it, you know, I was bedridden, and I would be bedridden for days sometimes with this head that would not shut up. And this went on for quite a while. And I was starting to get more and more despairing about them. And I felt that I've got to a point at one time where I just, sort of a similar kind of point where I got to with my eating, where I sort of felt I couldn't go on. You know, what was I going to do? And, you know, of course I would just have to go on, but I just felt, you know, all pretty hopeless. And at that time, you know, I'm also an alcoholic and I attend Alcoholics Anonymous. And in AA, an AA meeting was starting, a meditation meeting was starting on a Saturday morning. And I started going to it, and it involved a tape where we would listen to a tape, or we still do, I still go to their meeting. We listen to a tape for half an hour, and then there's half an hour of sharing. So for half an hour, I had to sit there I chose to have my eyes closed, with my eyes closed, and to, try and meditate. And I was pretty hopeless. But the one thing I could do was keep my eyes shut. I could keep myself physically still, sitting in a chair, and keep my eyes shut. So that was the kind of the things. And the clock used to drive me mad, and every time after the meeting I thought I was going to have to speak to my sponsor about that clock. And but the thing that I did that I'd never done before, that the meeting enabled me to do, was I persevered. And I had never done that before. And I started talking to my sponsor about meditating. And, she said something to me like, every time you pause and, breathe, think of your higher power or whatever the word she used, you're meditating. And I thought, oh, really? Oh, wow. And then I thought, oh, I'm meditating. So I became, in my own mind, an AEA member that was now meditating. Whereas for all those years, I had thought of myself as an AEA member that couldn't meditate and wasn't meditating. And, I was worried about that. Because it's, in the 12 steps, and, I need to work the 12 steps to get well. And I wasn't working, an important part of them. But I thought I couldn't. So in my mind, I went over into a new category. I went over into the category of being able to meditate, however not very well it was. So I found that very encouraging. And the very, very surprising thing was I started to feel a little bit different. Very, very hard to put my finger on. I didn't know what it was. But this is in my daily life. I felt a bit of a different feeling. And I felt it hugely, and I didn't know what it was. And it was, I'm still, it was a feeling of well-being, sort of regardless of what was going on each day, I had that feeling. I sort of had a feeling that, it was okay, even though this was going on, it was okay. And that was very, very surprising and unexpected, very unexpected. I didn't really go into meditation or start going to that meeting with any expectations whatsoever. Certainly none about the migraine. That was just purely coincidental. But that has been another bonus. Time was going on, and I was waiting for a migraine, because previously I didn't have to wait all that long. One was just around the corner. And time was passing, and I hadn't had a migraine, and it was an absolute miracle. And I didn't know, could this be something to do with the meditating? It seemed a heck of a jolly coincidence that the timing was from the time that I started going to this meeting. And I mean, that was a while ago now. I don't know if anyone here knows how long that meditation meeting's been going, but a few years. And, I haven't had anything like a migraine that I had, prior to that meeting starting. And, that is absolutely, miraculous. So, unexpected. So, since that time, I have persevered, and the meeting helps me with that a lot. Going once a week, meditating with other people. At the moment, we're actually online, but whether it's online or face-to-face, it's that, being with the group. And for some reason, that helps me to persevere at home. I think if something happened with the meeting, the meditating at home would drop off. That's just the sort of person I am. And so I have, persevered at home, and I have started reading a spiritual book, which is something new for me. And, I have listened to the odd podcast. I prefer the reading for me because I like the quiet. I just don't, get too much quiet, and I really, really like the quiet. And so I would prefer to read. And in recent times, very, very recent times, one day I got home from work, and instead of meditating and then having a wee read, I had the wee read first, and then the meditation. And for me, it is much better that way around. And I hadn't realised because I come in from work. I'm still sort of partly at work. The day I'm still. With the day, if I can do my wee reading and, just get into the sort of thinking that I'm wanting, leave the work thinking behind, and then, do the meditation, then, it's just, for me, that's just better. So that's sort of bringing you up with, current practice. But for me, it's good. It's really, really good. And I have had the odd time. I mentioned it to a teacher at my work a couple of days ago whose wife is really, really struggling. She's got a business and really, really struggling with the COVID and, mentally. And, I talked to him about meditation, and I've talked to a few other people. And, it's quite bizarre to hear myself talking. it's quite, I'm thinking, who is this person that's saying these things? Because it's so different. It's just so different for me. Very, very different. And as I say, not what I came in here for. But, it's part of giving away what I've been given. It's helped. It's really, really helped. And, if it can be helpful to someone else, well, all then good, at one time I would have felt embarrassed to, have said that to someone else outside the program. Fine, people in the program, no problem. Outside the program, I would not have done that. But, I have received a lot of help. And, we'll, just carry on with the persevering, which is what made the difference for me. And I found out that this going off, my thoughts going off after, a minute and then going off into my own thoughts, that's all part of it. That happens to everyone. It's not just me. That is what happens with everyone. And, for all those years, I thought I couldn't do it because my mind would go here, there and everywhere. That's normal. That's normal. If I'd talked with someone about it, exactly like my eating, if I'd talked to another addictive eater, I would have found out there are other people like me instead of just keeping these things, inside. So I know at this meeting we like to have a joke, so I'll finish off with a meditation joke. And it's very short. Did you hear about the spiritual man who refused an injection before his root canal? His goal was to transcend dental medication. Thank you.